What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's flannel season. It's a rainy, cold October day, and I've got a little bit of a cold myself, and I'm just chilly, and so I'm wearing a flannel. But it's the right time of year. It's not fall, it's rise. I've rechristened this season as a time of betterment. So we're not drinking right now. We're eating really healthy. I think I have developed some kind of keto flu because suddenly I have robbed my body of all the sugar and alcohol that it is used to having. All that is neither here nor there. Just thought I'd tell you. One of the things I love most about country music is that it has story songs. It's that there are narratives in the music. These aren't just songs that are expressing emotions. It's not just, I want to hook up with you. It's not just, oh, let's go dancing tonight. It's not just, I feel sad. It's that you get all of those emotions contained in stories. And those stories are one of the things that I love most about country music. It's such a defining characteristic of the genre. I think the most famous type of story song is the really sad, heart-wrenching story song in country music. Think about something like Whiskey Lullaby by Brad Paisley. La, 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 la. And maybe that list will happen on another day. But today, it's not going to be about the sad songs. It's going to be the absurd country story songs, because there are a few country songs that I think are melodramatic and silly and just crazy in the best way. That doesn't mean the content is all humorous and fun and lighthearted at all, but it just means they're audacious in their storytelling. They're pretty patently absurd, and that's what I love about them. These songs, in their own way, are all extra, for lack of a better word. We got some newer stuff, we got some classics, and let's just jump into it. Now, the first song I want to talk about is Old Red.
Old Red, he's the damnedest dog that I've ever seen.
Old Red is a song that was recorded by George Jones and by Kenny Rogers, but the most famous version is by Blake Shelton. And that's the one I was familiar with. And in the summer of 2002, that's really when I was becoming a country fan. This was one of my entrees into the genre. I don't know why I said entree. It was my entries into the genre. This song is ridiculous. It is about a guy that is sentenced to prison after a crime of passion in which he, I guess, presumably kills his wife's lover that she was having an affair with. So he's in prison in South Georgia, and after 2 years in the facility, this guy is tasked with walking the warden's dog, Old Red, which is the dog that they send to track down prisoners if they escape. He gets his redneck cousin from Tennessee to bring another little blue tick hound, a pretty little female dog, out that Old Red, I guess, hooks up with, and he basically trains this dog to hook up with this blue tick hound, and then waits for 2 weeks until Old Red is real horned up and makes his escape. And the kind of climax of the song is, I was headed north to Tennessee,
And Old Red was headed south.
It wanted to go hook up with its lady dog. And it has a great final line, which is, there's red-haired blue ticks all in the South. Love got me in here and love got me out. It's so crazy. It actually reminds me in its sound of God's Country a lot. It's this gothic song, but I just think it is so hilarious and absurd, and I've always appreciated it. Then let's take it all the way back to 1968 for a song called Harper Valley PTA by Jeannie C. Riley.
She said, Mama got a note here from the Harper Valley PTA.
Now, this is a song about gossips. It's about a girl getting sent home from middle school with a note for her widowed mother that's basically saying, look, there's some people that have been talking and you've been getting all around town and being trashy and been seen with other men. So this woman goes to the PTA meeting at the Harper Valley PTA, and PTA is Parent Teacher Association, and has some words for the other gossipy parents there and basically puts all their drama on blast. She spills the tea, if you will. So she marches in a miniskirt. She tells Mr. Taylor, well, you've asked me out 7 times. She tells Mr. Baker, you know, your secretary had to mysteriously leave town. She tells Miss Thompson that you have a drinking problem, and basically calls all of them out as hypocrites. And then in the reveal at the end of the song, the narrator, Jeannie C. Riley in this case, says that, you know, she was the daughter of that mother, and she'll always remember her mother socking it to the Harper Valley PTA. This song got covered by pretty much everyone, whether it was Dolly Parton or Loretta Lynn, but I feel like it's almost due for another cover. Like I said, that kind of whole tea spilling, dramatic, and there's a sort of feminist theme in it. I feel it would really click on the charts today, and maybe there's a generation that would like to know about it. Then let's talk about People Are Crazy by Billy Currington.
Beer's good.
people are crazy.
Of any song on this list, this probably has the least narrative in it. It's a pretty silly song about our narrator going into a bar, talking to an old man, just having a great late night conversation. Really, you get most of the narrative in the third verse, where he is flipping through a newspaper and sees an obituary. And the guy says he left his fortune to some guy he barely knew. His kids were mad as hell, but me, I'm doing well. And you get that same sort of philosophical ending of people are crazy. And you're left to sort of surmise that this narrator was given his fortune to this guy that he had a great convo in a bar with. And it's so dumb, this wouldn't happen, and yet it's so lovable because of that. It was also co-written by Bobby Braddock, who you might know as the songwriter of possibly the most famous country song ever, He Stopped Loving Her Today. Then I want to talk about A Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash.
The meanest thing that he ever did was before he left, he went and named me Sue.
A Boy Named Sue is a song from 1969 that Johnny Cash recorded at San Quentin Prison, one of the many prisons he performed at. It's a song about a father and a son, and the son has grown up bitter toward his father because he's been an absentee dad that did nothing for him except name him Sue, this woman's name. And so he's grown up ridiculed and bullied, and he ends up meeting his dad again in Tennessee at some tavern later in life, and they get into he wants to fight him, and he's like, I've decided I'm gonna like beat you down, that son of a bitch that gave me this name. And they end up the dad explains, I wanted to toughen you up. And in fact, that's exactly what the name Sue did. And so he ends up reconciling with his dad and being kind of thankful for the name. The story is really conversational. It's really spoken through rather than sung. And I think it's kind of cool to imagine Johnny Cash singing this to a bunch of prisoners, people that might value toughness more than most of the world outside of a prison might. And another fun thing about this song is that Shel Silverstein, like the guy who's famous for his books of poetry, is actually the one that wrote it. So, you know, the missing piece on one day, and then writing A Boy Named Sue for Johnny Cash the next day. So many great songs are written by people that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Then let's talk about Goodbye Earl by the Dixie Chicks.
Well, she finally got the nerve to file for divorce. She let the law.
Before I say anything, I just have to say a shout out to this beautiful cover. I mean, look at the graphic design here. This is a song about two best friends in high school, Marianne and Wanda, that plot revenge against an abusive husband. Marianne's getting beat by her awful husband, Earl, who is a character that Dennis Lind, the songwriter, often wrote about. So they put poison in his black-eyed peas, and Earl dies. Now, I think what makes this song really different as a country song is that it is so celebratory. You would not expect a song about poisoning your husband to be this chorus of na, 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 and the video even has dancing, and it's a good time. And I think that's actually what makes the song kind of magical. It is about murder, but it's this completely humorous sort of ridiculous twist on the whole matter. The next one I want to talk about is Three Wooden Crosses by Randy Travis.
3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway.
Now, don't get mad that this song is on this list. I'm not saying it's absurd, and I'm not saying any of these songs are bad. I genuinely love every song on this list. And I know Three Wooden Crosses is perhaps the most serious and has a religious element to it, but I love this song, and I think it's ridiculous. This is a song about 4 people being on a bus. A teacher, a preacher, a hooker, and a farmer. And yet, we are also being told that there are 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. And the narrator's wondering, why is there not a 4th? As the song goes on, we find out that there was a major bus accident in which the teacher, the farmer, and the preacher died. Yet, the hooker did not. And then we find out that our narrator is the son of that hooker, and that she had taken the bloodstained Bible from the preacher and had really, that whole event had changed her life. She had given it to her son, who was now a preacher himself. And it spins the whole thing into this tale of redemption. I think it's really beautiful, even in describing it. I mean, that story's so crazy, but stories should be crazy. I mean, songs are only 4 minutes long. You gotta get to the point. And that song fits so much into it, and I actually really love it. I think it's like a very heightened, melodramatic, gorgeous version of a tale of redemption with some whimsy in it. And as you all know, if you've ever seen my best country songs ever video, which really should be called my favorite country songs ever, I love Randy Travis. He's one of my very, very favorites. Then let's talk about the Charlie Daniels Band classic, The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
The devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind 'cause he was way behind.
I don't think I really need to explain why this song is crazy. The plot of this song, and it was written by the Charlie Daniels Band, is that the devil comes to town and makes a fiddle-off challenge with our character, Johnny. And Johnny's a great fiddle player, but the devil's like, I'm a better fiddle player than you, and if you can't prove that you're better, I get your soul. So there's this kind of deal with the devil sort of thing. And Johnny's like, no, I'm better at playing fiddle with you, even though he's scared of making this wager. And the devil's like, well, I'll give you the golden fiddle if you can fiddle better than me. And then we proceed to hear the devil and a bunch of demons play some songs, and then it's Johnny's turn, and he plays a way more Appalachian-inspired set of songs. The devil admits defeat and is like, nope, you are better at the fiddle than me, gives him his golden fiddle, and goes along his way. This is truly just an excuse to jam out to fiddle. It's kind of just this beautiful tribute to the fiddle. Before we get into the top three that are the three that really inspired me to make this list, I want to get into a few other songs that I feel like kind of fit this category that I didn't include here. Unanswered Prayers, the Garth Brooks classic about thinking that he wanted this one girl, but then feeling blessed that God didn't grant the prayers for her because she's not the angel he remembered. Church Bells is a great murder ballad by Carrie Underwood where there's this evolving character of the church bells through the song. First as she gets married, then as she is seeking a reprieve after being beat by her husband, and then as she's at a funeral. I really enjoy kind of the structure of that song. And then I just didn't do this because it's too new and I talk about Luke Combs all the time as is, but When It Rains It Pours, a song about getting broken up with and winning the lottery and getting to go on a vacation and being excited about it. It's really just a series of coincidences, and I think it's a very strange but lovable song. Next, let's talk about the song Fancy. Now, Fancy was originally recorded by Bobby Gentry, but the version that you probably know about is the one by Reba McEntire. This song is quite a tale, and it takes place outside of New Orleans, and it's got that same kind of brooding vibe that New Orleans can have. It's about a girl named Fancy whose mother is dying, and her mother goes out and buys her a dress and makeup and perfume. Fancy's a good-looking girl, and her mother says, "Be nice to the gentlemen, Fancy, they'll be nice to you." And her mother's parting words to her were, here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Basically, go make something of yourself. Use your body, do what you have to, if you want to take care of yourself and your little sibling. And Fancy proceeds to build a good life for herself using sex, and basically sleeps her way to the top. And then you get this line at the end that says,
You know I might have been born just plain white trash, but fancy was my name.
There's so much happening in this song. I mean, there's just the tale of what's happening, but then there's also a feminist angle here. I know Bobby Gentry wrote it in like the women's lib movement. There's issues of class, of her going from being poor to being fancy. There's the play with her name and the fact that, you know, she was white trash and now she's fancy. There's a ton that's so interesting about this song. I really can't think of another song like it. It's so unique and interesting and spicy. Then, probably the biggest guilty pleasure of any song on this whole list, I'll Walk by Bucky Covington.
She said, "How let go of my hand."
This song is so crazy to me. I mean, truly, it is like one of the weirdest songs ever. Bucky Covington, if you didn't know, he had a few hits back in like the early aughts. He was on American Idol. That's how I knew him, and that's why I was following his career at the time. This song was released in 2008, and it was one of those evolving chorus songs, like I just mentioned with Church Bells. So it starts with a guy and his girl on prom night. He tries to hook up with her, and she gets put off by it and is like, no, let me out of the car. She's like, I'll walk. And then she gets hit by a truck. And you end up in the hospital, and you're like, wow, that was a really quick transition into where we are now. The doctors are like, you know, you're never going to be able to walk again. And she's like, I'll walk. And then this guy, this boyfriend that wanted to hook up with her in the car, sticks with her through the years of therapy, proposes, and in the final, you know, chorus of the song, you get this line where it says, from a wheelchair, she looked up at her dad and smiled and said, I'll walk. Hold my hand. I know that this will hurt. I know you'll understand. And you're like, it has this magical happy ending where suddenly this girl that's been in a wheelchair for years is just able to walk down the aisle at her wedding. It is pure, like syrupy, happy ending craziness, and I'm here for it. I've always liked this song. I've always liked just how bold it is, and I like that it became a minor hit from an American Idol contestant. So go I'll Walk. And then the last song I want to talk about, and these aren't really ranked, I like all these songs, is another Blake Shelton song, because Blake really came out of the gate with 2 of these big story songs, and this one is Austin.
If you're calling about the car I sold it.
This was actually the debut single for Blake Shelton, and it was produced on that same album as Old Red, which was produced by Bobby Braddock, who also wrote People Are Crazy, so me and Bobby have got some similar taste in story songs. But Austin's a song about a guy and a girl who go through a breakup. She moves to Austin and then decides about a year later, maybe I do like this guy. So she calls and is surprised to find that his answering machine, which is a very long answering machine, that's what the whole chorus is. He basically says at the end, P.S. if this is Austin, I still love you. And she's shocked and doesn't know what to do, so she calls him back, and he has another new answering machine, but it still ends, if this is Austin, I still love you. Then in the very final chorus, we get Blake calling her, and he gets her answering machine. And we get a key change because we're getting this big dramatic moment.
If you're calling about my heart, it's still yours.
And then the big reveal is, this ain't no machine you're talking to. Can't you tell? This is Austin, and I still love you. So it's really this game of phone tag. Now it would all happen over Snapchat. So this song is thoroughly 2000s, 90s, 2000s in its vibe, because I don't know, answering machines have kind of come and gone, haven't they? But I love this song. I like that we're just exchanging voicemails. I just love Austin. Who doesn't? Who has not heard that song and been like, I love this? I see why it launched Blake's career. So that's it for this video, guys. Those are my 10 most absurd story songs. These are all songs that I love. I would love to know any more recommendations, because this is one of my favorite brands of country music. I'll probably need to do another one of these lists of like the 10 most devastating, or just like 10 more, because some songs aren't even like, you know, Unanswered Prayers isn't really even that absurd, or something like Ode to Billy Joe isn't even that sad, but I don't know. There's more room for more story song content down the road, but for now, that's this video. Give it a like if you liked it. Share this video if one of your favorites is on there. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. Even if you've been here before and you've like checked out a few of my videos, just hit subscribe. I'm not going to tell anyone that you're subscribing. But that's it from me, you guys. Love y'all, and peace out.